this one more time, but it keeps telling me I have a poor internet connection, which means I might not be able to do the weekly wrap-up today. Just waiting to see if people can hear me. I know I've had a bad connection issue. See if anybody's there today. Doesn't look like anybody's joining us, so I don't know if you guys can see or hear me or not. Hopefully you guys can. I'll wait it out a little bit. It doesn't look like the internet connection's going to work today. Judson, I think, is texting me right now. Oh, he says it's working. I can hear you and see you fine. All right, technology at home when I don't have Judson and Olivia here with me, or I'm not there with them in the office. So I'm doing the weekly wrap-up here at the Wildcat Sanctuary. I'm working from home today, and I was explaining why I was working from home. I was supposed to be at Crown Ridge Tiger Sanctuary with a bunch of other directors and staff from sanctuaries around the country for the Big Cat Sanctuary Alliance Steering Committee / board retreat. And we all meet once a year for several days as part of the Big Cat Sanctuary Alliance. And this is different than our conference. This is the board or the steering committee meeting to set the goals of what the Big Cat Sanctuary Alliance is. So as soon as I jump off here, I'm going to be back on Zoom. As sanctuary directors and partner members and things like that, all of us are so busy in the animal world that some of us had work to do. We had a few members that were sick. So we decided that it was just appropriate for us all to do it via Zoom and not meet in person, which is kind of a bummer because we really like hanging out together, sharing stories of the sanctuary, really kind of building those relationships, but we'll get a lot done. And the really fun thing is, and the great thing is, the Big Cat Sanctuary Alliance is becoming its own nonprofit, which will be great in a way that we can build structure, continue to do advocacy, be a go-to for rescues and placements, especially during confiscations and seizures. With our sanctuary members, we span across the country, have expertise, can be anywhere in a moment's notice, and we're all have the shared same ethics and goals of ending the captive wildlife crisis. But before I get back to my meeting with the Big Cat Sanctuary Alliance, I want to take you through the weekly wrap-up here at the Wildcat Sanctuary. So a lot of people love to kind of know cat updates. We'll get to those in a moment. First, as always, I need to thank you all for stepping up for Miracle Match. It is a huge fundraiser for us. We've made some really amazing progress, especially with your help on all of our goals, including Sushi's habitat and intern stipends, medical costs. And right now we're raising money for what might not seem so fun is utilities and electric, gas, things like that. But it is what powers the sanctuary. And that's not even just the lights that are on or the heat in the in-floor, but it's things you might not even think of. I mean, think of our walk-in cooler, our walk-in freezer. Those food boards that have all the diets on them, the washer and dryer that washes all the linens of the Bengals and bungalows, the x-ray equipment that's powered by electric, the heat and air and rescue bay that's not only heat and electric but propane, all of our backup generators that have propane hooked up to them, and that's not even including our extreme cold winters that we have and that we have to heat everything, our intern buildings, but the utilities might not be fancy, but when you donate to Miracle Match right now, your donation's matched, and you are keeping literally the lights on, the heat's on, everything operating, the TVs, the sound machines, the weather radios. You are really making sure that we can operate the sanctuary 365 days a year. So thank you so much for that. And so next week, we'll have another Miracle Match. So help us meet the goal for utilities and heat and electric and gas. And next week, I know you'll help us meet that really exciting goal that we'll have too. So in terms of what we've been doing, we've had a board meeting over the last week, and that was the Wildcat Sanctuary's board meeting where we met again, on our strategic plans, updated certain things. Some really good news is the board of directors, along with me and our leadership team, really support us professionalizing and leading the industry in terms of investing in our staff. It has been, as we talked about, a long time tradition that animal welfare, vet techs, caretakers, anybody in social services, even for humans, has to sacrifice wage, time, everything. And it's already really hard what we do. We want that people that go into animal welfare can have a career in animal welfare, that they can stay and make the same livable wage they would at another company, because we want to retain the best of talents to care for our animals, to help advocate to end the captive wildlife crisis, to lobby and educate for change. And so there is so much importance that TWS has increased wages almost 30%, especially for our frontline staff. We have added medical benefits, simple IRA, vision, dental. We have really good paid time off, including some flex days and things like that, because we want our staff rejuvenated. We want them to know how much we appreciate them. So as you see us moving forward, you will see that that investment in staff, when we can afford to do it, is going to be a key thing we do, because they're the ones that are taking care of the animals. They're the ones that are the first line of safety. They're the ones that are being stewards of your dollars. And they deserve to know that they're valued, and we want to retain them. And we also want to retain them in a very rural, harsh climate that can be very challenging and isolating. So I was so excited when our board of directors said, hey, you can compare yourselves to the rest of the industry, but we want to see TWS at the forefront. We're going to make sure that we're not paying inflated price or inflated staffing or wages anywhere, but we need to make sure people can have a quality of life, can have a retirement, can pay their bills, can take time off and regenerate, and know that we care about them as much as we care about the animals we care for. So sometimes it can be challenging because all of us want to put all the money directly into just direct animal care, but we have to remember that those utilities you're helping us pay for, the staff you're helping us pay for, all of that is direct animal care. We need it all to be able to give that individualized quality care that we've come to set the bar for, and you guys really help us do. So on top of that, I've also had Gina's busy today with AmeriCorps pre-meeting. So they're on site for about 4 hours today, the team leader, to talk about all the projects for the next couple months, to look at the housing, to really set up what the day and workflow is going to be for when that AmeriCorps team starts in May. And so that's a big thing that the entire team, Bobby, Jesse, Joan, and Gina, are doing today, but it's going to set up us for success when we get those 8 full-time AmeriCorps team members for 2 months to help us build and do habitat projects. So that's really exciting. Let's see, summer hours just switched. So summer hours means our hourly shifts don't change, but what our staff does in those hours do. So our goal is always to have the medications given out 12 hours apart, especially pain meds, so that the cat gets 24 hours coverage. And so that means giving out meds at 8 a.m. and giving out meds at 8 p.m. And so they will be spreading that out, which means rounds will go later at night, and then they will fill time with projects between the 4:30 and 5:30, 7 o'clock before they start rounds. And so we're really trying to make sure that we get as enough done in the day, be as efficient as possible, dividing and conquering without really overtaxing anybody. And so we shift hours and duties in the winter because it's dark, and we want, for safety reasons, people not going into the compound after dark. But now we have more daylight, which means we have more daylight hours to do more for the cats. Tear down. The staff has been so busy, and the interns have been busy tearing down bungalows. So as you guys know, we're getting ready for Catio Town. Next month is our big launch of that campaign. And to be ready for that and be ready for construction and everything else, we have to tear down the current bungalows. So with that, Kisa not Kisa. I was going to say the ones that have moved is Harley. Harley moved, and he's temporarily on the catio and the animal care lobby. He might merge with the animal care cats in the lobby, or he might move to Riku's group. So it's still up in the air. Jules moved, and again, sponsors will be updated once these moves are permanent. She's moved into Merlin Ledger's group, and then Leo and Eddie are moving today, just temporarily. Again, these moves are temporarily until we get Catio Town built. On top of that, Aiden and Apollo, our little Asian leopard cats, have had some really gunky eyes and nose and upper resp. They're on medication. Elise and Dr. Campbell and the staff are keeping a really, really close eye on them. So we're hoping it just works itself through, but they are on antibiotics to help with that. Also, Kitu and Lavani, as you guys know, we've been watching them for their gastritis. They are older cheetahs, and we're seeing some slowdown. And at first we're trying to decide, is it the spondylosis arthritis? Is it a GI issue? Is it the weather? And I think the answer is it's all of that. When they're older and it's damp out and they're not feeling well and they don't come up for meds, it kind of snowballs a little bit where, okay, now I don't feel good because I didn't get my meds, but I don't want to get up and get my meds. So the staff are reevaluating, do we need to decrease their diet a little to make sure they want to come up for their meds so that we can do pain management and things like that. So they're watching them very closely. Leo Lion and Leopard Shadow are still having their urine leaks, which is obviously some bladder control in their old age, but they're both acting bright, alert, and responsive. So we're watching it. We're making sure they don't get urine burdens. Of course, they're on support medication and supplements for their incontinence. It does say I have a slow connection, so I apologize for that, but I'm going to continue to go on. So Chili. During the winter months, Chili his leg retracts more, and it makes even his mobility even more challenging than it normally has. So since we've had an early spring, we've already getting ready to put out his bridge so we can do really intensive PT, physical therapy, and Dr. Campbell built specialty, different kind of ramps for him to get in and out of the building. So we're really hoping this PT gives him back some mobility. We also know what Chili has is degenerative. So again, he's a cat we watch all the time, but it looks like he's doing pretty well. And we're just hoping, the reason he needs that PT is because he needs to be able to extend the one back good leg he has so he's not hitting his knee on the ground, and then he's been able to get his foot up over lips and things like that. And so it's really critical, but the staff are working with him on that. Let's see. So we've had exam days on Kisa, one of our older girls who's a F1 Bengal, and she also has high blood pressure and things like that. She had a few teeth removed, so I'm sure the sponsors will get that update. And Eddie's just having his wellness exam, another Bengal today, using the opportunity as we move him to do that. So those are kind of the bigger updates there. And next on the list is we're going to be tearing down with Crew Days, our volunteers coming this weekend. Leo and Eddie's bungalow, their fence, and their building. And then next would be Harley's and Puma have already gone down. And then we have two more. So by 5/15, a little over a month from now, all the Bengal yards and bungalows have to be down and the Bengals have to be moved. So I know we'll get that done for sure. And so with Miracle Match and our 25th anniversary, we're still sharing stories of so many rescues that have meant so much. And I know today is Tonka's story. And I think a lot of people who knew Tonka might say that Big Cat Noah, tiger, reminds them a little bit of Tonka, only from they're just big, big, big tigers. They're built like walls, and they both have mobility issues. And, so I think you'll see today, they'll probably be sharing with you like Tonka's first release into his habitat. And they're also going to be sharing with you an article I wrote, I think it was back in 2016, when Tonka arrived. It was not a seamless rescue. We were supposed to get many more cats than we did with Tonka from this facility that was in California, an old mansion, using them pretty much as a roadside zoo and photo props. And so They were on really hard substrate. Tonka and his brother were in a non-compliant U.S. Fish and Wildlife enclosure, and so they deemed that those two had to go first. And we really tried to convince the Roadside Zoo to replace all their animals, including lynx, servals, another white tiger that had a terrible four-paw declaw and was crippled. And of course he wanted to, and the caracals, Ivan and Nigel, wanted to keep his money makers. And so we were able to get Tonka, and he needed to be on a mobility plan right away because he could not even get up on platforms. He needed to lose weight. Ivan and Nigel, two caracals came with them that were of older age, and Nigel was in renal disease, and then Ivan was in neurological, huge issues with him. And unfortunately, he only lasted a few days because we found out during the capture something went really wrong. We did not do the transport or the pickup. The facility themselves captured him, and he had a fractured pelvis and was in renal failure, and it was very, very, very sad. We worked with the USDA to try and go backwards to be able to prosecute them, and we really don't know how that case ended up. I know we were part of it for a while, but it was really sad. And so we've learned from that we do mostly try to do our own transports because we can't, when the facility that's giving up the animals or forced to give up the animals are the ones crating them, we don't have control over how they're crating them, how they're stressing them. We were told that, they had kind of flailed the walls and things like that. Luckily, Tonka did crate well, and he came to our sanctuary, and he became such a love. He was known as such an aggressive tiger, they said. And he still, when he first came, was aggressive over food, would really throw his balls around. But as soon as we got him on pain management and a mobility program and his weight down, we didn't see any of those signs of aggression ever again. But it was unfortunately time we had to say goodbye because of the declaw, the degenerative joint disease, not because of his age, but because of the confinement and the hard substrate he was on for so many years prior to coming to the sanctuary. And that's the hardest thing. When you look at Mohan or cats like Tonka, when cats get cancer or renal disease, it is so sad to say goodbye. But those are things that come with age a lot of the times, and isn't anybody's fault. It's the natural progression of aging. But when you have to say goodbye to a cat due to mobility issues because they have been pretty much mutilated by taking their claws out, really had atrophy muscles and really brittle bones because they have not had the proper exercise they need, they've been living on hard substrate, that's when you get so mad. And you also get so heartbroken that you're having to say goodbye to an animal earlier than you should be because it was completely preventable, because their ailments are human caused. And that was what was hard with Tonka. But I'm so thankful that all of you surrounded him and the sanctuary with love. And he had a great retirement life here at the sanctuary. And one of the really compassionate caretakers that was really fighting to get them released from this mansion in California came out and was so excited to see the change in him and the caracal that we had. Other sanctuaries stepped up to help, and then I think it took about 7 more years for the white tiger to be released to another accredited sanctuary. And unfortunately, I think the damage was so far done, I don't think she lived very long. But these rescues are hard to go through and remember, but then we have to celebrate the life we gave them at the sanctuary and how happy and what a change, and that the last days, years of their life was the best years that they could have wished for because of all of you. So I really would love for you to see the whole article and what that rescue is about. So definitely check out the link that they're going to share that was in an old issue of Uproar, because it's really nice to remember these cats so their stories, their hardships, their deaths are not in vain, that we can help together prevent more cats from the same fate. So again, thank you for being part of the weekly wrap-up. I apologize if I'm freezing it is a slow connection, but hopefully when you replay it, things play well. So I'll see you all next week. Thank you.